Hello, my friend, and welcome to Secure and Insecure, hosted by me, Johnny Seifert. This is the Celebrity Mental Health Podcast, or I say it's okay to not be okay. And if you have the same match as me, whether you're watching or listening, leave a 5-star rating, click that subscribe button, and leave a review. And let's keep spreading the word, it's okay to not be okay. Now, let me tell you about my guest today. My guest today is the daughter of a Womble, who started a TV career behind the camera, learning her skills before jumping in front of the camera, starting her career inside the fun song factory of a young Aston Marigold from JLS. After a few years in kids' TV, she turned her hands and her feet into not just being a roller skater, not just an ice skater, but a skier as well. Since then, after a stellar TV career for the past 2 decades, in 2017, after 5 years, she balanced her TV work with having her own coffee shop and bistro, Lord Roberts, on the Green in Purley, which she sold 2 years ago. And of course, for the past 12 years, you know her as part of the A Place in the Sun family. So without further ado, ahead of the new series available to stream on Channel 4 now, I'm delighted to welcome to Skaninska. It's Laura Hamilton. Hello, Laura.
Do you know what? That I think that's probably my most favourite introduction. Daughter of a Womble. I love that.
I
Not
mean,
many
where else
people.
do you go?
Not many people hit me with that intro first. Oh, that was fun. Yeah,
Well, it's
thank
interesting,
you.
isn't it? When you've done a career for 20 years and you've got a famous dad, and your mum's also famous, but you've got that whole setup, that thing that pinpoints you. Is it the place in the sun? Is it the daughter of the Womble? Is it the factory in the fun song factory? Because I suppose for every single person, there's a different version of Laura that we've had from you.
Yeah, I think that's something that there's lots of things that people still don't know about me. I grew up singing and dancing, and I did panto for 10 years, playing Cinderella alongside
With
Stephen
Bradley Walsh.
Gately. Oh, you've done your research.
And my
Um,
research.
so, I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to perform. Even with my property stuff, I'm really hands-on, I'm involved. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. And so, yeah, I suppose there's an Laura that you see on A Place in the Sun, and that's just one version, one part of me. But I'm also a mum, I'm also a friend, I'm also a daughter. It is a juggle. I'm juggling lots of things. I guess in a way that it's kind of nice that there are versions of me or parts of me that not everyone does see, because when you are in the public eye and people sort of think they know everything about you, it is nice to have like little personal bits that are held back, because it is quite tough sometimes.
Well, some people might not know you worked in a bakery, you worked in a shoe shop, you've cleaned toilets, you've done a lot of different jobs since you started out. And it's interesting because you're right. When you look at those different facets of you, and then if you Google, don't Google yourself, but if you Google Laura Hamilton, you get 1,000 articles and more or less daily, which is great because it shows how relevant you are. It shows, that after 20 years, you're at the top of your game. But it'll be, look at Laura in a bikini, look at Laura doing this,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I don't know if that really justifies an article on Laura when there's so much more else to talk about.
Do you know, that's really interesting to hear you say, because I am aware that those articles do pop up, and I think, oh my word, if that, as you say, if that is all there is to say, then it does make it kind of quite sad. Because I was on a show with Jasmine Pointless at the last Saturday. My charity was ITP awareness, and ITP is immune thrombocytopenia, which is a low platelet count in your blood, and that is something that I found out that I had 2 years after having my daughter Talia, who is 9 in a couple of weeks' time. And I did that show, and I wanted them to be my charity to try and generate awareness. And so many people reached out to me afterwards that were saying, "Oh my word, didn't know you had ITP. Can you help us with this, or can you help generate, more awareness of that?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, why are there not more articles on that rather than the whole like Laura's feet, Laura in a bikini?" I'm not going to say, oh, it's bad, because it's lovely that when you're being spoken about, as you say, because you're relevant. But yes, I agree. Sometimes it would be nicer if the articles had a bit more substance to them.
And we'll come back to the ITP in a bit, but just because you've mentioned it, includes things like bruising, small red or purple spots on the skin, nosebleeds, and bleeding gums, just for anyone listening, in case they're already recognizing those signs. But also, there was an article about you doing Pointless, and it was like, Lauren Jasmine in shock at the end of Pointless. And, and we know what clickbait journalism is like. And I'm the worst journalist. I'm not really a journalist. I'm a kind of imposter showbiz journalist because I don't like clickbait. I don't like news headlines. When you look at your career and you think, well, 20 years on, I'm still hosting A Place in the Sun. I've done it for 12 years. I've got my bits on This Morning. I get a lot of TV work, but I've not been given that big shiny floor Saturday night show. I've not been given my own show where it's Laura Hamilton meets.
Hmm.
Where does your imposter syndrome sit? Because it's interesting when I look at you and you're, 20 years ahead of me. And we're going to go all the way back to the beginning shortly. But, you started behind the camera. You wanted to work in TV. You then start working in TV. You've done everything you needed to do. You've done the kids' TV. You've then gone into mainstream. You've done the reality shows. Then you're hosting your own show with a big family of other pool of presenters. Where's this other show that's you?
I never take for granted how lucky I am to have the career that I have. And, as I know you say, oh, my dad was a womble or whatever, but, I didn't really have like a step up into the industry. Like I didn't have any help. I've had to kind of get here and work out how to get to doing what I'm doing kind of through meeting people and hard work, as you say, from all those things. And so I've always thought, well, I'm doing a job that I love and I've got to where I've got to. And I'm grateful and I'm happy for that. And when you do this job, as you're very well probably aware, your kind of career and your fate is in someone else's hands. And so I do feel that, I can't say, oh, I've been lucky, because I do think you do create your own luck and you put yourselves in positions, create those opportunities for yourself. But there is an element of right place, right time. Is your face fitting right now for that current thing? And television is funny like space, because it could be that I'm very creative and I come up with my own ideas. And it could be that I've had an idea like a couple of years ago and I put that idea in. And at the time, a commissioner will go, oh, yeah, that's great, but we don't want anything like that at the moment. And then 2 years down the line, that idea comes up again. And someone's had a meeting with a presenter who, just timing wise, that was your idea, but they were in the right place, right, and they get the gig. So, but I'm never ever kind of looking at anyone going, oh, well, they're doing it and I'm not. I think it's so important that you stay in your lane and you focus on what you're doing, rather than just compare yourself to others and think, oh, well, I haven't got that shiny floor show. Why she got it and I haven't? I genuinely am so happy with where I've got to and what I've achieved. And as I say, my next step, it's always in someone else's hands, and I might get that opportunity and I might not. And if I don't, it it really doesn't matter, because I have so many other things that I've got going on in my life, and I don't think that would, to me, make me happier by having that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I speak to a lot of TV presenters all the time, and at the moment, especially with diversity and
Hmm.
people's origins, and also TikTok following, Instagram following, that whole social media world, there's a big pull for commissioners to go, well, they've got the big following on TikTok. That's going to turn into bums on seats because people aren't watching linear
Yeah,
TV anymore. Then you've got the whole issues around diversity and making sure we're ticking a lot of boxes, which again
yeah.
is an amazing thing, but it'd be nice
Mm.
if we use people because of their talent rather than going, well, they're this and they're that. So when you look at that, you're right, you're not in control of your destiny. And it's amazing to be given a show like A Place in the Sun that is so stable for your career to go every year. I know I'm going backwards and forwards to Spain or wherever it is, and I'm part of that family. And that gives you that sense of belonging. So when you look at the TV industry as a whole, do you have that sense of belonging going, I'm fine, you
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely. And as you say, like the reality TV shows, I've been very fortunate and lucky that I've had the Dancing on Ice opportunity. I had the Jump come in. I have been talked to about other shows, but again, it's just not worked in with my diary and my dates that I've got. Yeah, I do feel like a massive sense of belonging to a place and stuff. Like it's great. I mean, it's Channel 4's second longest running show, like alongside Countdown, I think. And to have been part of it for as long as I have, I say it's like a safety net, but it's not, because nothing's they've been telling, you don't know what's going to happen next. But yeah, to be part of that has been a massive honour.
Well, I think also, and I'll talk out of turn in case you don't want to say anything, but we know Channel 4 is in a really bad place at the moment. And yeah, if you turn on Channel 4 or More 4 or 4/7, whatever 4 channel it is, it's likely that if you save for an hour, you'll get A Place in the Sun and you'll get Come Dine With Me and you'll get Four in the Bed. And it's so part of the schedule that it would be a weird place without it. And even with the repeats, it's absolutely fine because when you think of Channel 4,
Don't
you
say
do
that.
think of Place in the Sun.
We want the new episodes to come
Well,
out.
you do want the new episodes to go out, but as in it's so part
And they
of
are
that
coming out.
schedule, and they are coming
Yeah.
out, and you can stream the new series on Channel 4 online as well as all the old episodes are. But as in, it's so staple and integral to the
Yeah.
schedule that you can't imagine a Channel 4 without A Place in the Sun.
Yeah. Well, it's still good. It's escapism. It's Sunshine Blue Skies. It's inspirational, aspirational. I love it. And I say it so many times, but I very much feel like it is my dream job. I love people. I love being part of that journey, that process with them. I spend a week with them, so I get to learn not only just what you see on TV, I learn so much more about them, and they do become friends, and I do stay in contact with a number of them. I love property, I love travel. It's kind of like all the things that I love all in one. However, saying that, doing the job has meant that it's come with compromises. I've missed family occasions. I've missed my brother's wedding. I missed my mum's 60th 10 years ago. She'll kill me for saying that. So, there are things that I've had to miss out on, and jobs that I've had to turn down, and I think the compromises that you make. But I feel lucky that I've got an amazingly supportive family, an amazing circle of friends, and that offer the support and understand that I might not be there for things in person, but just because I'm not there in person doesn't mean that I'm not there thinking of them.
Let's find out more about you, Laura. Let's go back to the beginning. Talk to me about who you were in school and how we ended up seeing the Laura that we see today. So where did you fit into your school year?
First of all, I went to quite a difficult, tough school. When I say difficult, tough school, I think I was, and I have to be careful because I'm actually in contact with a few of my old school buddies, because some of them have over the years reached out, and I wasn't necessarily close to them in school, but now I do hear from them. I would say it was tough. I was probably one of 4 in the year that wanted to work. Majority of the class wanted to just mess around, and I think we had the bomb squad one day in our school because someone decided to make a bomb out of a copper pipe on when the internet had just come out. So it really was. I didn't go to like a privileged kind of private education or anything like that. And because I wanted to work, it was very much kind of like frowned upon. Oh, she's just a bit of a geek, or she's just wants to be the best at this. Oh, she just wants that. And it was tough. And I loved being in the school plays, and I did get cast a lot of the time as the kind of like lead girl, and people didn't like it. And there was like that element of just trying to pull you down, and jealousy, I guess. But at the time, I hated it. Absolutely hated everything. I was just like, I just want to get out of here. Just did my GCSEs, and I actually left and went to a different school to go and do my A-levels. And that was Dartford Grammar. But I hated it so much. I think that going through that at that time, I didn't appreciate that was all building like the skills for like the resilience, and being able to take that criticism and not letting it bring me down, and think, actually, do you know what? I'm good. I don't care what you say. I'm going to still try and achieve something here. So I left that school and I went to Dartford Grammar, and I did my A-levels. And that was a really interesting situation because it was I'd gone from a co-ed to then a single-sex girls' school. And it was very much, everyone there went to university to study law or to become a doctor or to be, do all these kind of, more serious jobs. And I was like, well, I want to work in TV. And they were like, well, we can't help you with that. You've got to fill in your UCAS form and apply for uni. We don't do TV here. So I applied to uni and I got a place to study law and psychology. But at the same time, I'd done some work experience at the BBC when I was 15 through my dad and his like a few little connections that he had, but he didn't really know anybody that could help me loads. But getting that in, I suppose, to do that work experience was a little bit of a step in for me. Just before I was 18, I started writing to loads of television companies to try and get a job as a runner. I was like, well, a runner is somebody that makes teas and coffees, and it's kind of like a start. And I say I was lucky, but I put myself out there. I applied for these jobs, wrote loads of letters, got loads of rejection letters back telling me, no, go and study a media degree. You're too young. But Channel 4 wrote back, mental how I've come like full circle since like that time back then, and now I'm back at Channel 4. But they wrote back and said, look, we'd like to see you for an interview. So in the middle of my A-levels, before I got my A-level results, I ended up in Channel 4, 124 Horseferry Road, and for a production company in-house called 124 Facilities. And I had an interview for a runner's position, and they offered me the job to start in the August. So I knew that I had the job before I got my A-level results. So I then I did my A-levels and I deferred my uni. I got into uni and I deferred my uni placement, and I started at Channel 4. And the letter I got when I was offered that job said, congratulations, your life will never be the same again. And I think I've still got that letter in my loft. I don't tend to keep a lot of stuff, but I'm pretty sure that's in the loft upstairs. And after that year of working and earning money and getting teas and coffees and being that general dog's body position, I then realised I wanted to go into assistant floor management. And I made a lot of contacts, met people, and decided after that year do you know what, uni isn't for me this year, I'm going to defer again. And I just kept deferring. And then I just got to the point where after, 4 years behind the scenes and really loving working on the shows that I was doing, I worked on music concerts because I did freelance artist liaison. I worked on like the Nelson Mandela concert in Trafalgar Square, Celebrate South Africa. I was working on Top of the Pop. I was just literally, my CV was very colourful. And I think my parents were like, "What? Like, are you going to have a stable job? Because you're just working like on all these different things." And I was doing a lot of free work, and they were like, "Were you going to earn any money?" But then after 4 years, I'd always loved performing. As I said, I'd done the school plays, like performed in pantos as a kid, and I was like, "Do you know what? I want to be a presenter. That's what I want to do. I want to try and get into the world of presenting." At that time, I was doing a panto with Nick Bailey, who was Dr. Truman in EastEnders at the time. And he said to me, I was Cinderella, and he said to me, why do you work behind the scenes in TV? Why are you not in front of the camera? Why are you not performing? And I was like, "Oh yeah, if only it was that easy." And he was like, "No, I know it's not." There was a newspaper called The Stage. The Stage newspaper had like various auditions, and it had this audition for a kids TV presenter. You couldn't be too tall to make the kids look too small. You couldn't be too small to make the kids look too big. They wanted diversity. You had to be able to sing, you had to be able to act, you had to be able to present. You all had to look good together as a group of 5. I remember I was working on Big Brother's Little Brother at the time with Dermot O'Leary, and I said, "Oh, I'm going for this audition for this kids TV presenter." Because the good thing was about being an AFM, I was on the studio floor with talkback in my ear, doing run-throughs for the presenters, kind of getting that presenter experience without obviously the exposure on TV. So I said to Dermot, "Oh, I'm going for this audition for this kids TV show," and he was like, "What? What do you mean?" Well, so it was kind of off the back of like Nick saying to me, just look for auditions, try and get an agent, and then being in that TV environment and getting that practice. I was like, "Do you know what? I'm going to go for the audition." I went for the audition, and I was cast as Melody in the Fun Song Factory. And even when I got that job, I still didn't stop working behind the scenes in television, because I was like, "Well, I'm going to try and kind of have both, just while I'm trying to establish myself a bit more as a presenter." And I really do think that having the experience of both behind and in front of the camera does kind of give you better skills to do the job that I do, because we are a team. It's not just about, just because you're on screen, just because you're on camera, that it's all about you. It's not. You would be doing what you're doing if everyone else around you wasn't the team that they are. I've very much felt like that about everything that I've done in my life. So the coffee shop that I had, I know you mentioned that. Even though I set it up and I had 24 staff in the end, I was still a member of that team. If the shop was busy, I'm in there washing up. I'm jumping on the rubbish in the bins. I'm front facing with the customers. If the chef's off, I'm in the kitchen. And then there were customers that would come in there and they'd be like, "We saw you this afternoon, selling a house on Channel 4. What are you doing, like washing up?" And I'm like, "Well, this is my business. We just because you're that doesn't mean you can't do that." And I think when you do that, people hopefully appreciate you and realize that you are just a normal person that's just trying to find your way in life and be part of everyone else.
Well, also it's that thing of, Chris Evans said it, you have to be a producer first, presenter second. And the same thing for Richard Osman and David Walliams, all those people who came up through the 90s, they were all producers once upon a time. And you have to think like that, because otherwise you'll never understand your audience. If you're just there to read an
Yeah.
auto cue, you don't know really what the next stage is.
I'm not even on TikTok. I don't do it, and I just, because I think, "Oh my word, I'm on enough social media. I can't I can't do any more." And that is all time consuming as well. That's another job in itself. But it is frustrating when you go, "Well, I've got the skills, I've got the expertise, I've got the knowledge, I've gone up the ranks," and yet there are people that come in that go, "Whew, their profile's catapulted," and they get the jobs because of that. But then I don't think that I know there's some fantastic people, by the way, that are in the industry that have come through the ranks and they've done very well from that and they are respected. But generally, they don't get longevity because they don't have that experience. So I do think that there is a massive thing to be said. If you want to get into this industry, if you want to do it, I personally feel that all around, it's not just about having the skills to do the job, learning from the bottom all the way up, but actually it's also about the mental health side of things. Because bearing in mind, we're here to talk about that too. Like, if you don't go through those stages, if you're just boom catapulted out there straight away and you don't know what's going to come at you, how the public's going to be, what the trolling's going to be like, that is where people fall massively flat because they can't deal with it. But when you've come up the ranks and you've been kind of like, earning your stamps or dealing with little bits and understanding and seeing from people from the outside how they cope with it and how they do. That does also put you in a stronger position, I think, when you do get to where you want to get to.
So how do you do that though? Because I've done TV in the past and I got trolled and I was like, well, I don't like this. This is why I've stayed in radio and podcasting. It's just my voice. So where do you get to with that trolling that you're going, I've got my
You
two
can't, you
kids.
can't, you can't listen. You've only got to like Google or look at my name, and there's things that come up there, and like that's just a small element of who I am. My friends, my family, and as I said, I'm very lucky. I've got an amazing group of friends, both men and women, and I've got my kids, and my focus is them. And if people want to say negative things about me, then so. But you can't be everything to everyone.
Mm.
Even with friends, there's friendships that you've had and then you don't have. And right now I'm lucky, as I said, I've got my network and stuff. But you do fall out with people, don't you, over the years? You can't be everything to everyone, and you have to accept that. So like some people will watch this Place in the Sun and they'll go, oh well, I much prefer Jasmine's presenting style to Laura's. Oh, Laura always looks annoyed when someone doesn't buy the house. And I just think, you don't know me. I'm not annoyed when someone doesn't buy the house. But if that's what people want, I mean, look, I have read stuff. Of course I have. I wouldn't be human if I didn't know and I wasn't aware. But I just think, do you know what? Like, all I can do is I can be me. And if people don't like that, then so be it. But my friends and my family and my kids sometimes don't like me. That's more of an insult, when they're like, I take that personally because they're my children. And if I upset my friends, of course, I take that personally. I don't want to upset my friends or my family. But if it's people that don't know you and they're saying things, I just think that they're not informed. They're not informed. They don't know who I am.
But people seem to think that they've got an ownership over you and over the show. And, I think one needs to remember, if you're
I
part of
don't think that people think they've got an ownership over me. I just think people think they have ownership over people in the public eye.
Let's talk about your cafe you had, the Lord Roberts on the Green. Amazing menu. You had it for 5 years. As you said, you had 24 people working for you. What made you, number one, go into the idea of running it, and then secondly, actually selling it as well? Because it was just after the pandemic when you had to kind of find that sense of belonging again to the world.
So, right, it came up as an opportunity in the community, and I've always been very entrepreneurial. I'm always coming up with ideas, and this opportunity came about, and I was like, oh my word, I want to do this. I want to bring back the post office. I want to create a coffee shop, deli, and a community base. I want to employ local people. And I had no idea. I'd been obviously buying and selling houses since I was 19 and doing them up. So I knew how to renovate a building and a property. I had no idea how to create a commercial space or build a brand or anything to do with the hospitality catering industry. But I'm somebody that I'm like, well, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to work out how to do it, and I'm going to work out how to do it and make a success of it. So it came up for sale, and I was like, right, I'll become the local postmistress. So I did all the exams. I got 8 other people qualified to be postmistresses as well. And then it was like, right, I'm going to staff people. I'm going to stock the shop shelves. Oh my word, setting the whole thing up was insane. Probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do with like no knowledge or experience. But we did it, and we ran it for obviously a number of years. After a year, the post office closed because I decided that element of the business wasn't really making enough money, and the coffee shop became a very busy place. And that again didn't come with ease, because we made a very quiet vintage sleepy shop into a buzzing coffee shop, and some of the local residents didn't like it. So I dealt with like the negativity and the trolling from that. But then 95% of the people loved it. So it's like they're the ones you've got to listen to, not the naysayers. And then the pandemic came, and I had a number of people say, we've got to shut the shop. And I said, absolutely no way. We're going to turn it into the village shop, and we're going to start delivering out to the community. And we'll do takeaways, and we'll keep it going for people's mental health, for my mental health, and we'll do what we can to keep it going. And in the pandemic, the business went like that because we were there for people. And we did employ, including my niece, a number of younger boys and girls who learned so many life skills that then went on to university, and their parents would say, this is brilliant. They now know how to make a meal. They now know how to deal with people. So yeah, as I said, in the pandemic, we kept the shop open. And coming out the other side of the pandemic, it again was a success. after the pandemic, we all learned, didn't we, where our priorities were, and made us question a lot of things. I wanted to make some changes in my life. I loved doing what I was doing, but I realised that I couldn't do everything on my own anymore. I couldn't be a mum, run a house, have a TV job, have a business for 24. I mean, I'd be abroad filming A Place in the Sun, and every day I'd go online and I'd be doing the food order. The staff would send me a photo of the whiteboard that we had in the stock room with all the food produce, and I'd go online. As long as I did it before 4 o'clock every day, I'd get the food order in that would be delivered the next day, because we didn't have a huge amount of space to store food. And obviously, being a fresh food business, we needed to, every day that we were running out of stock. And I wanted control over that because it was my business, and I wanted a part of it, as I said, knowing how every element works. I just was like, I can't do this anymore. So I need to start making some changes. And I bought and sold property since I was 19, which was very much about buying somewhere, turning it into something amazing and selling it on. And I felt my job was done with the shop. It was like, I've built this business, I've created this a community asset. I knew that it had the potential to go to the next level, to turn into like more of an evening thing, but that wasn't where I wanted to focus my energy. And as I said, I wanted to make some changes in life, so I sold it. And then the staff now, that there's not one member of staff left in that shop. Sadly, everybody left. But they all say to me, Laura, what are you doing next? And we want to come and do the next thing with you. So I'm like, oh, there probably will be something down the line in that arena. But what's nice is there were 2 women that used to supply flowers to us in the shop, and they always said to me, "Oh, one day we want to do our own little coffee shop." And I'm like, "I'm here. You call me if you want any advice and help." And they do occasionally call me and say, how do we do this? How do we do that? And so, like, if anyone wants to set up a coffee shop business, or I know exactly what to do and what not to do.
Slide into the DMs, slide into the DMs.
Yeah.
Let's bring this full circle, Laura. And I can't thank you enough for being on my podcast, Cooking Good today. I want to go full circle with you, go back to the beginning, and just to end it, as you said, you worked for 10 years through pantomime. You've sung, you've danced, you've roller skated, you've done everything. So if I say to you the words, the whistle blowing loudly, where do you then take that?
To continue being happy
Yes.
and doing the job that I love. There isn't I need to do this, I need to do that. You know, life's an adventure and no one knows what's around the corner. And I think you need to be open to opportunity. I'm definitely somebody that says, yes, you know, can I do that? I don't know, but I'll work out how to. I would just say, look, I don't know where I'll be next or what I'll be doing, but hopefully I've got a long life and a career ahead of me still.
I'm sure you will. And obviously, if the whistle's blowing loudly and another day begins inside the Fun Song Factory with lots of songs to sing. And Laura, you are one song. I grew up that. I used to go and watch it in, like, I don't know, 95. And I was in the audience for it all the time. My parents loved it, and I've got all the videos. So thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. The new series of A Place in the Sun is out to watch on Channel 4 now. Brand new episodes. I'm going to stream it on Channel 4 now. And if you love A Place in the Sun, there's episodes of Cooking Girls, Scarlett Douglas, Leah Charles King, and Genia Hansen, all in the library, talking about their mental health journeys as well. If you love Security and Secure, please click the subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, leave a 5-star rating, and let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. On social media, on TikTok at Johnny Seifert 92, on Instagram at Johnny Seifert at Security and Secure Podcast, and on X at Johnny Seifert. Laura, where can people find you?
At Laura Hamilton TV or laurahamiltonofficial.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for watching or listening. Until next time, I'm Johnny Seifert. Thank you and goodbye.